Tonight, history becomes calm, quiet, and sleepy. The day has already softened. Heat still rests inside the stone and mud walls, but the sharp brightness of the sun is gone. Air moves slowly over the river. Somewhere far away, water touches reeds with a quiet sound that almost disappears before it reaches anyone's ears. In this slow hour, when work has mostly ended and cooking fires burn lower, there is a small path between two villages. It is not an important road. No king ordered it built. No soldiers march across it. No great stone markers stand beside it. It is simply a narrow path pressed into the earth by many ordinary feet. Sandals. Bare feet. Small carts. Goats. Children. People carrying water. And tomorrow, before the first light reaches the tops of the date palms, someone will walk this path again. In ancient Egypt, water moved constantly. The river gave life, but it did not always sit beside every doorway. Many homes still needed someone to carry it. Clay jars had to be filled. Storage containers had to stay ready. Bread needed water. Cooking needed water. Washing needed water. Workers returning from fields needed water. Every day began with this simple truth. Someone had to bring it. And so tonight, while most of the village rests, we drift quietly toward tomorrow morning. The stars remain overhead. The air becomes cooler. Inside one mud brick house, a woman sleeps lightly beside her children. Their sleeping mats are woven from reeds. Their blankets are thin. One child shifts and turns once before becoming still again. Near the doorway stand 3 clay jars. One is half full. One is nearly empty. One waits. Its wide mouth catches faint moonlight. Tomorrow, before sunrise, those jars must be filled. The woman opens her eyes before dawn arrives. No bells ring. No voices call. She simply wakes because her body has learned the hour. She sits slowly. Her feet touch cool earth. The room is still dark. Outside, another house is waking too. And another. Ancient mornings often began quietly. Not with noise but with movement. A hand reaching for sandals. Someone adjusting a simple linen cloth. Someone blowing gently into ashes to wake a cooking fire. Someone opening a wooden door. The woman lifts one empty jar and balances it against her hip. Another jar she carries by hand. She steps outside. The village appears in shades of blue and gray. No one speaks much. Morning words are few. She joins others already walking. They know each other. They do not need greetings. Their footsteps settle into familiar rhythm. This village sits farther from reliable water than the next settlement. The second village rests closer to a branch of the Nile where collection is easier. So everyday people travel between them. Not far, but far enough to feel. The path stretches ahead. Dust waits quietly underfoot. The first light begins to appear. The sky changes slowly. Cool blue becomes pale silver. Someone ahead adjusts a jar balanced on folded cloth placed over the head. Someone else carries a shoulder pole with containers hanging from each side. Water carrying was ordinary work. Ordinary work fills most of history. People moved slowly because heavy jars reward patience. Too fast, and water splashes. Too fast, and shoulders ache. Too fast, and energy disappears before midday. So they walk steadily. Their sandals make soft sounds. The desert wind remains gentle. Birds begin calling near the river. One older woman hums quietly. No one asks what song it is. Maybe she does not know. Maybe she learned it long ago and forgot where. The road bends. Fields appear. Small plots stretch outward. Barley. Emmer wheat. Vegetable patches. Workers will arrive later. For now the land rests. Irrigation channels hold still water reflecting early sky. A farmer stands alone checking a gate made from wood and reeds. He raises one hand as people pass. Then returns to work. Soon heat will come. Everyone knows this. Morning is precious. The village ahead slowly appears. Its homes stand close together. Walls the color of earth. Flat roofs. Small courtyards. Smoke beginning to rise. This village wakes earlier because river work begins early. Fishermen prepare nets. Children gather kindling. A baker opens his oven. Warm air already carries the smell of bread. Simple bread. Heavy bread. Bread that fills the stomach and asks for little. The water carriers enter quietly. Nobody treats them like visitors. This happens every day. People move aside naturally. Some head directly toward public collection points. Others visit family. Some exchange small news. A jar broke yesterday. A child has a fever. Someone's roof needs repair. Someone's brother returned from work farther south. Small stories. Nothing urgent. Nothing dramatic. Just life moving softly. Near the river edge, activity remains calm. The water is dark and smooth. Morning light spreads slowly across its surface. Several people kneel filling jars. They lower containers carefully. Lift. Wait. Balance. Repeat. Heavy work begins immediately. Water weighs more than it seems. Clay jars become difficult quickly. Hands grow familiar with strain. Shoulders become shaped by routine. The woman kneels. She lowers the first jar. River water enters with a soft hollow sound. She waits until bubbles stop. Then lifts. For a moment her body becomes still. Weight settles. She rises carefully. Places the jar nearby. Returns for the second. Again. Again. No hurry. People who carry water understand rhythm. Rushing creates more work. Nearby, two young brothers help their father. One carries smaller containers. The older carries more. Neither complains. Children learned work gradually. Not because life demanded speed, but because life repeated itself. They watched. Then copied. Then one day discovered they were no longer watching. They were simply doing. The river air feels cool. For a few moments, carrying seems easy. People stand quietly, looking across water, watching sunlight spread. A fisherman pushes away from shore. His boat moves without urgency. Long poles touch the riverbed. The day begins. The woman lifts one jar onto her head. One rests against her side. She begins walking home. Others join. Now the path feels different. Full jars change everything. Steps become measured. Conversation becomes shorter. Bodies lean differently. The group spaces itself naturally. Everyone leaves enough room. Dust rises gently. The sun climbs. Heat begins. Nothing dramatic. Just warmth arriving little by little. By midday it will feel heavy. For now it remains kind. The woman walks. One step. Then another. The path returns beneath her feet exactly as it did yesterday. Exactly as it will tomorrow. A child runs past carrying no load and receives quiet correction. Slow down. Not because danger waits. Because spilled water means returning. The child nods. Walks. A donkey passes carrying larger jars. Its pace remains steady. Its ears move lazily. A man beside it wipes sweat already forming. Work begins early. The group reaches halfway. There is a shaded place. Not a building. Just trees where travelers sometimes rest. Nobody sits long. But people stop briefly. Jars are lowered carefully. Shoulders relax. Hands stretch. Someone drinks. Someone closes their eyes for 1 minute. The woman rests her palms against cool clay. Water inside remains quiet. She listens. Not intentionally. But people often listen to ordinary things. Wind. Birds. Water shifting inside jars. The silence of morning. Nearby an elderly man sits. His work carrying water ended years ago. Now he repairs ropes and basket straps. He watches travelers. Offers simple advice nobody asked for. Carry closer to center. Switch sides earlier. Rest before tiredness arrives. People smile politely. He continues speaking. The road belongs to people like him too. People who remember. The sun climbs higher. Rest ends. Again the jars rise. Again feet begin moving. Back toward the first village. Back toward homes. Back toward cooking and cleaning and daily life. When they arrive, the village feels awake. Children move through narrow spaces. Someone sweeps. Someone grinds grain. Someone feeds animals. Someone repairs sandals. The woman enters her house. One jar is stored. Another placed near cooking space. The room immediately feels more prepared. Water changes the feeling of a home. Empty jars create quiet concern. Full jars create relief. Her children wake. Breakfast begins. Bread. Perhaps onions. Maybe dates. Simple food. The youngest reaches immediately for water. The mother smiles faintly. This is why she walked. Not because anyone praised her. Not because records would remember. But because ordinary life depends on ordinary labor. Outside, another group already prepares for another trip. Work repeats. The sun continues climbing. The village breathes. And somewhere between the two villages, the path waits again beneath the warming sky. Ready for more footsteps. Ready for another slow crossing. Ready for another day carried one careful jar at a time. Morning settles more firmly across the land. The first journey has ended, but the day itself has only begun. Inside the village, shadows shorten little by little. Sunlight reaches over walls and across packed earth courtyards. Clay surfaces begin storing warmth. Air that felt cool before sunrise slowly changes and becomes heavier. Water jars stand where they belong. Near cooking places. Beside sleeping mats. Inside shaded corners. Against walls where children are told not to play. Their presence changes the rhythm of the house. Work becomes possible. Dough can be mixed. Hands can be washed. Dust can be pressed from cloth. Someone can rest and drink after returning from fields. The woman sits briefly beside the doorway. Only briefly. Morning labor leaves little room for sitting. She tears bread into smaller pieces. One child eats quickly. Another still wakes slowly and stares outside. From nearby houses come familiar sounds. Stone grinding grain. Low conversation. Goats. Someone laughing once. A wooden bowl being set down. No sound stays very long. Everything blends softly into village life. A narrow beam of sunlight reaches one of the jars. Its surface shows marks from many years of use. Small scratches. Faint color changes. Places where hands touched thousands of times. Clay remembers work. These jars are not decorative. They are useful. They travel. They rest. They return. And they rarely stay empty for long. Outside, another woman prepares to leave. Her household is larger. Their jars empty faster. She ties cloth over her hair and lifts 2 containers. A younger relative joins her. Neither seems eager. But neither seems unhappy. Some work simply exists. People do it because life continues. The path between villages begins receiving footsteps again. Morning after morning. Day after day. Not crowded. Never empty. Small groups. Pairs. One person alone. People moving quietly between places that depend on one another. Dust rises and settles. Sandals leave marks that disappear. The second journey feels warmer than the first. Sunlight no longer arrives gently. Now it lands directly. Skin notices. Shoulders notice. People walk with more awareness. Shade becomes valuable. The younger woman walks beside her relative. At first she talks. Then gradually less. Carrying jars teaches silence. Breath becomes more useful than conversation. Ahead, a man carries a long wooden pole balanced across his shoulders. 2 containers swing softly with each step. He knows exactly how much movement to allow. Too little and the load feels stiff. Too much and balance disappears. His body learned years ago. His feet know where to land before his eyes decide. Work repeats until movement becomes memory. Fields beside the road are active now. Farmers bend over irrigation channels. Water gates open. Small streams spread slowly. Mud darkens. Plants wait. Nearby, a worker kneels repairing a broken edge with his hands. His arms already shine with sweat. He pauses to drink. Only a little. Water is precious. Not rare. But never careless. Nothing wasted. The people walking toward the river continue. Heat builds quietly. The air feels still. Even birds seem slower. One woman adjusts her sandals. Another moves her jar from one arm to the other. No one complains. Not because work is easy. Because complaint changes very little. Instead people save energy. Save breath. Save strength. The second village appears again. Morning has fully arrived there. Bread ovens are active. Smoke rises upward and drifts. Children carry baskets. Older workers return from early fishing. A man repairs net weights beneath shade. His hands move automatically. Nearby someone washes vegetables. River water reflects bright sunlight now. No longer silver. Now gold. People gather along the edge. Not crowded. Just steady. Everyone doing nearly the same thing. Fill. Lift. Carry. Return. Fill. Lift. Carry. Return. One woman kneels and places her hands into the water before filling jars. only for a moment. Cooling her fingers. Feeling movement. The river is never exactly the same. Light changes. Current changes. Wind changes. But it remains familiar. Reliable. People trust it. Not because it is gentle, but because life grows beside it. She fills the jars. One. Then another. A small splash darkens the earth. Nearby a child tries lifting a jar too heavy for him. His father watches. Does not rush. Only waits. The child struggles. Sets it down. Tries again. This time lifts slightly higher. The father nods. No speech. Some lessons arrive quietly. The younger woman looks across the river. She wonders how many people walk somewhere carrying something at this same moment. Fish. Wood. Stone. Cloth. Water. Most people carry something. Most people always have. She lifts her jar. Weight settles through neck and shoulders. Her body adjusts. And she starts home. Back across the path. The return journey feels longer. Not because distance changes. Because the sun has risen. Heat moves downward and upward at the same time. From above. From the ground. People become careful. Slower. More deliberate. No one wants to spill. A spilled jar means repeated work. Sometimes broken clay. Sometimes lost time. A cloud passes briefly. Shade touches the path. People notice. Nobody speaks. But everyone feels it. Then sunlight returns. At the resting trees, more travelers gather. The shade feels smaller now. Someone sits. Someone stands. Someone pours a little water into cupped hands and wipes face and neck. A child sleeps against his mother's shoulder. An older woman rubs her knees. People wait. Not long. Just enough. The younger woman studies everyone quietly. Different ages. Different homes. Same road. Same jars. She realizes she recognizes many faces but does not know all their names. Daily life often works that way. People become familiar before becoming known. The road creates quiet relationships. Not friendships exactly. But something close. The old rope repairer sits there again. Same place. Same patient expression. Today he works with reeds. His hands move slowly. Someone asks if he ever misses carrying water. He thinks. Then smiles. He says carrying teaches you where your strength lies. Nobody answers. People sit quietly after hearing this. Eventually jars rise again. People leave. The old man remains. Watching. Repairing. Waiting for shade to move. Back in the first village, midday approaches. Heat reaches walls. Dogs sleep. Children become slower. Workers seek brief shelter. Inside houses, air stays cooler. The woman from earlier pours water into a bowl. She washes flour from her hands. Prepares another round of bread. She moves steadily. No wasted motion. Her daughter watches. One day she will know these movements too. Without lessons. Without instructions. By seeing. By repeating. By growing. Water disappears slowly throughout the day. A cup. A bowl. Cooking. Cleaning. Hands. Small needs. By afternoon one jar already feels lighter. No one comments. Everyone expected this. Outside, workers returning from fields ask for drinks. Sweat dries into pale lines on skin. They sit against walls. Bread passes from hand to hand. Someone closes their eyes while chewing. For a moment nobody speaks. Heat takes language away. Only eating matters. Then slowly conversation returns. Small things. Someone saw birds. Someone found damaged irrigation. Someone heard that workers farther north are building again. No great stories. Only ordinary ones. As afternoon stretches, sunlight softens slightly. Still hot. But changing. The village breathes again. Children move more. People sweep. Animals stir. And already some households begin thinking quietly about tomorrow. Will the jars last? Should someone leave earlier? Will heat arrive sooner? Simple questions. Questions repeated every day. The woman looks toward her remaining water. Enough for tonight. Enough for morning. But not much more. She knows. Before dawn comes again, the path between the two villages will call someone back. And somewhere beyond the warm air and dusty road, the river will still be there. Waiting quietly. Moving softly. As it always does. By late afternoon the day becomes softer. The brightness does not disappear all at once. Instead it slowly loosens its hold on the village. Shadows lengthen across walls and narrow paths. The heat that sat heavily on shoulders begins to lift a little, though the earth still holds warmth inside it. People notice these changes without speaking of them. Work changes shape. Morning belongs to effort. Midday belongs to endurance. Evening belongs to returning. Across the village, doors remain open. Air moves through homes carrying the smell of baked bread, warm dust, and cooking fires beginning again. Inside the house with the 3 jars, the woman checks the water quietly. One remains nearly full. One is halfway. The third waits empty beside the wall. She places her hand against the clay. Cooler than the room. She closes her eyes for only a second. Enough. Enough for now. She moves toward the courtyard. Her children sit nearby. One traces lines in dust. Another watches people pass. No toys. No hurry. Children often made games from whatever existed around them. Stones. Sticks. Footprints. Stories. Even waiting became something to do. Across the lane, an older woman sits spinning fiber into thread. Her hands move continuously. Her eyes drift from work to people and back again. Nothing seems rushed. But almost everyone is doing something. Small tasks carry villages. Someone folds cloth. Someone gathers fuel. Someone checks roof repairs. Someone counts baskets. Someone cleans tools. Someone simply rests. Rest is work too when the day is hot. The evening meal begins to take shape. Water is poured. Flour is mixed. A bowl is rinsed. Children wash dusty hands. Every small action returns to the jars. Carry enough water and the evening feels easier. Carry too little and tomorrow begins sooner than expected. As the sun lowers, more people gather outdoors. Shade finally reaches places hidden all day. People sit near walls. Conversations drift. Nothing important. Nothing urgent. The village slowly exhales. One man returns from repairing irrigation farther away. His shoulders are dark with dust. He lowers a bundle of tools and asks quietly for water. His wife pours carefully. He drinks slowly. Nobody wastes the cool feeling. Afterward he sits without speaking. His body remains still. Only his breathing changes. Long work often ends this way. Not with celebration. Just sitting. Nearby, another household prepares for a morning trip. Their jars are lined near the doorway. Ready. People think about tomorrow before sleeping. Ancient life depended on preparation. Forget today and tomorrow becomes difficult. Forget tomorrow and today becomes anxious. The road between villages receives fewer footsteps now. But not none. A small group still travels. Evening water. Late collection. Sometimes work delayed people. Sometimes households needed more. The road changes personality in evening. Morning roads feel purposeful. Evening roads feel thoughtful. Light becomes softer. Dust glows. The world appears quieter. A young man walks carrying empty jars. He works in fields during the morning and collects water later. His steps are slower now. The day already sits inside his muscles. He is not old. But labor makes people move carefully. He walks alone. His sandals press shallow marks into earth. Wind moves lightly across open ground. Fields nearby look different at this hour. Morning showed movement. Now fields rest. Tools lean against walls. Channels reflect sky. Birds gather. The young man reaches the shaded trees halfway between villages. The old rope repairer still sits there. Not working now. Only watching. The younger man lowers his jars. Sits nearby. For a while neither speaks. Then the older man asks if the fields were difficult today. The younger man shrugs. Water gates broke. Mud was heavy. Nothing unusual. The older man nods. They sit quietly again. Long days make conversation simple. After some time the younger man stands. Lifts the jars. Continues walking. The older man remains beneath trees. Watching evening arrive. The second village feels calm. Children play close to home. Smoke rises slowly. People wash bowls. Fishing boats return. Near the river, activity continues but gently. Evening collection always feels different. Light touches the water sideways. The surface becomes gold and copper. Reflections stretch. People move more slowly. Nobody wants to hurry now. The young man reaches the edge. He kneels. Places empty jars beside him. For a moment he does nothing. He only watches. Water moving. Boat drifting. Someone speaking far away. A bird crossing overhead. Ancient people were busy. But quiet moments still existed. Moments between tasks. Moments before lifting. Moments where nothing happened. He fills the first jar. Then the second. Weight returns. The river gives and asks effort in return. Nearby, a woman washes cooking bowls. A fisherman untangles line. Two children stand ankle-deep near shore under careful eyes. No one appears hurried. Evening stretches. The young man begins walking home. Full jars. Warm shoulders. Slow feet. The return road glows softly. Sunlight lowers. Heat fades. This is the easiest time to carry. Still difficult. But kinder. People pass each other. Nods. Short greetings. Safe travels. Enough water? Tomorrow early. Simple words. He reaches the resting trees again. The old man has gone. Only impressions remain where he sat. The younger man drinks. Looks west. The sky changes colors slowly. No dramatic display. Just gentle fading. He continues. Back toward home. Back toward evening. Back toward food and sleep. By the time he reaches the first village, cooking fires burn brighter. Smoke hangs softly above rooftops. Children are called inside. Animals settle. People wash feet. Dinner begins. Inside the woman's house, everyone gathers. Bread. Vegetables. Water. Simple eating. No ceremony. Only tired people becoming less tired. One child tells a small story about finding an interesting stone. Another falls quiet halfway through eating. Sleep arrives early after hot days. Outside, neighbors talk softly. Someone mentions tomorrow's weather. Someone wonders if the river feels lower. Someone remembers a season years ago when carrying took longer. Memory and evening often arrive together. After eating, bowls are cleaned. Only enough water is used. The woman pours carefully. She notices again one jar full. One partly full. One waiting. Tomorrow's shape already visible. Night comes slowly. The sky darkens. Stars return. Air cools. People move onto rooftops or near open doors. Sleeping places are prepared. Reed mats unrolled. Blankets shaken. Children settled. Village sounds become fewer. A dog barks once. Someone coughs. Someone closes a wooden door. Then quiet spreads. Inside the house, the woman lies down. Her children sleep beside her. She listens. Not intentionally. Just listening because night allows it. Distant river. Wind. Someone walking far away. She thinks briefly about tomorrow. Wake before dawn. Check jars. Walk the path. Carry. Return. Bake. Rest. Sleep. Simple. Repeated. Familiar. Her eyes close. Outside, under stars older than memory, the road between the two villages becomes empty. Dust settles. The earth cools. The river continues moving quietly in the darkness. And somewhere in the stillness of ancient night empty jars wait patiently for morning. Night settles completely over the land. The last cooking fires become smaller. Warm light inside the houses softens and fades against mud brick walls. One by one, voices disappear into quiet conversation, then into silence. The villages do not become perfectly still. Ancient nights were never completely silent. There is always something. A small movement. A shifting animal. Wind finding narrow spaces. Someone turning during sleep. Someone waking briefly and drinking water. Someone stepping outside to look at the sky. But compared with the long hours of work, night feels gentle. The air is cooler now. People breathe differently. The heavy warmth of day finally loosens. Inside many homes, water jars stand quietly in corners. Invisible in darkness. Present all the same. Ready. Waiting. The woman sleeps. Her children sleep. Their day has ended without ceremony. No calendar marks it. No record keeps it. No one writes down how many steps crossed the road or how many jars were carried. but the day mattered. Like all ordinary days matter. Hours pass. Stars move slowly. The moon shifts. Night reaches its deepest hour. Even then, some people remain awake. A baker. Someone caring for a sick child. A fisherman preparing to leave before dawn. An old person whose sleep comes in short pieces. Near the edge of the village, an older man sits outside his home. His sandals rest beside him. He does not sleep easily anymore. So he watches. His house is small. His work these days is lighter than before. Once he carried stone. Later he repaired tools. Now he mostly helps where needed. Tonight he drinks a little water and looks toward the dark path leading away from the village. He remembers carrying. Not water. Wood. Clay. Bundles of reeds. But weight is weight. People remember labor through their bodies. Years later shoulders still know. Hands still know. He closes his eyes. Feels the night air. Returns inside. Eventually even the restless become quiet. The stars continue. Time moves. And then without announcement morning begins again. Not sunlight. Not yet. Only a change. The darkness becomes thinner. Air changes. Birds prepare. A person somewhere wakes. Then another. Inside the house, the woman opens her eyes. She does not stretch. She does not stay lying down. Her body knows. Morning. She sits. The room remains dark enough that shapes appear soft. Her children continue sleeping. She reaches toward the jars. Touches them. Checks their weight. One still full. One partly full. Enough for today if used carefully. But tomorrow should not begin with uncertainty. She decides. Another trip. Outside, she finds others already awake. Morning workers always seem to appear quietly. No gathering. No signal. People simply emerge. Someone ties cloth around shoulders. Someone adjusts sandals. Someone lifts jars. Morning belongs to preparation. The eastern sky grows pale. The village begins breathing again. A cooking fire catches. Smoke rises straight upward. The air remains calm. The woman takes two empty jars. One larger. One smaller. Their surfaces feel cool. She steps onto the road. Several others join. Today there are more people than yesterday. Perhaps households used extra water. Perhaps the weather stayed hotter. Nobody asks. The road accepts everyone. Dust still holds night coolness. Footsteps sound softer. One child walks beside his mother carrying a tiny container. Mostly empty. Mostly practice. His steps are careful. He watches adults. Tries matching their pace. Soon he becomes distracted by footprints. Then remembers his job. Then focuses again. This too is learning. The sky slowly changes. Gray. Silver. Pale gold. Morning arrives in layers. The group walks. No hurry. Bodies still waking. Someone yawns. Someone laughs quietly. Not because anything funny happened. Sometimes people laugh because morning exists. Ahead, the fields wait. No workers yet. Only shapes. Rows. Channels. Palm trees standing still. Mist hangs lightly over some wetter ground. For a short time, before heat arrives, everything appears softer. The woman enjoys this hour. She would never describe it that way. She simply feels less tired. Morning gives small gifts. Cool air. Long shadows. Quiet. She continues walking. The child beside his mother asks how many times people carry water in 1 year. No one answers immediately. Not because they do not know. Because the number feels impossible. Too many. Someone finally says many. The child thinks. Then asks how many jars fill one house in a lifetime. The adults smile. Nobody counts. Maybe nobody wants to. The child becomes quiet. Thinking. The road bends. The second village appears again. Morning smoke. Early voices. Dogs stretching. Doors opening. Everything familiar. People enter naturally. Someone greets someone. Someone borrows a basket. Someone promises to return it. Small connections. Small trust. The river waits beyond. The water looks different today. Calmer. Or perhaps only the morning feels calmer. People kneel. Containers lower. Water enters. Again. 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 One woman fills quickly. Another carefully. Everyone has methods. The woman lowers her jar. Cold water touches her hands. She pauses. Only briefly. Her fingers stay beneath the surface. Morning river. Cool. Quiet. She closes her eyes for one breath. Then returns to work. Nearby, fishermen prepare. One man folds nets. Another checks a boat. Routine everywhere. Everyone carrying something. Everyone preparing something. The child with the tiny container tries filling it himself. Too quickly. Water splashes. He tries again. Better. He smiles. His mother nods. No celebration. Just approval. That is enough. The jars fill. Weight returns. Morning effort begins. The walk home starts. The road slowly brightens. Sunlight reaches farther. Bird calls become louder. Dust rises. People settle into carrying rhythm. One step. Shift. One step. Balance. One step. Breathe. No one says it aloud. But everyone understands. This road is not only between villages. It is between moments. Empty and full. Morning and evening. Need and relief. Walking and resting. The woman feels the jar steady on her shoulder. Her feet remember every uneven place. She no longer looks down often. Her body already knows. The child grows quiet. Carrying his little container now feels serious. He walks carefully. The adult slows slightly without mentioning it. No one wants him to spill. Ahead, the resting trees appear. Shade waiting. Like always. Like yesterday. Like tomorrow. And under those trees someone already sits. Watching the road wake once again. Under the resting trees sits the old rope repairer. He arrived before sunrise. No one knows exactly when. Some people simply seem to belong to certain places, and after enough years their presence becomes part of the landscape. He sits on a low stone. A basket beside him. Lengths of rope looped across his knees. Today he is not repairing anything yet. He only watches the road. Morning light reaches him in narrow lines through the leaves. As the travelers approach, he raises one hand. Not a greeting exactly. More a quiet acknowledgement. People slow naturally beneath the shade. Nobody wants to stop too long. The air is still cool. But everyone knows warmth is coming. The woman lowers her jars carefully. The child lowers his small container with great attention. His face shows concentration far larger than the task itself. The old man notices. He asks if the child carried it the whole way. The child nods. The old man says that carrying begins before strength arrives. The child thinks about this for a moment. Then drinks a little water. No one explains the meaning. Some words travel farther when left alone. The travelers rest. Someone stretches sore shoulders. Someone adjusts cloth. Someone stands quietly with closed eyes. Morning rest feels different from afternoon rest. Morning rest still contains energy. People pause because they choose to. Later in the day they will pause because they must. The old man finally begins his work. His hands move slowly. Reed fibers. Twisting. Pulling. Checking. He works without looking down much. Years have taught his fingers. The child watches. Children often watch hands. Hands tell stories. The old man's hands show old cuts. Thick skin. Places where labor stayed. The child asks if he carried water too. The old man smiles. Everyone carried water. At some point. Maybe not every day. But enough. He says there were years when he carried for neighbors after injuries. Years when he carried for family. Years when he carried because wells were farther. Years when he thought his shoulders would never stop aching. Now he mostly sits. And watches others. Nobody responds. The group simply listens. Then slowly the rest ends. Jars rise again. People stand. The child carefully lifts his container. The woman nods once. The road continues. Leaving shade always feels warmer than arriving. The sun now reaches higher. Fields become brighter. Workers appear. Across the land, daily routines unfold. Farmers move between rows. Animals graze. Someone repairs a fence. Someone carries baskets. Someone sweeps a courtyard. Everywhere people begin. The woman walks steadily. The full jar presses into familiar places across her shoulder. She adjusts once. Then continues. She knows exactly where she can rest if needed. Exactly where the road becomes uneven. Exactly where wind sometimes appears. People who repeat journeys learn details without trying. There is a place where birds gather. A place where stones stay warm late into evening. A place where rain once made mud years ago. Small geography. Private knowledge. The child begins asking questions again. Why do jars break? Who made roads? Does the river ever get tired? Adults answer slowly. Sometimes with words. Sometimes with smiles. The question about the river stays unanswered. Eventually someone says the river moves because it must. The child accepts this. Children often do. The village grows closer. Now morning feels fully awake. Smoke rises. Doors remain open. People move everywhere. A woman carries bread. Someone washes a doorway. Children chase each other and are told not to. The returning group enters. Water arrives home. Each person separates naturally. Back to houses. Back to tasks. Back to ordinary life. Inside the house, the woman places the jars down. The sound of clay touching earth feels satisfying. Not loud. Just complete. She pours some water into a storage vessel. Another small amount into a bowl. Immediately the house feels prepared again. She kneels to begin grain work. Grinding. Slow circles. Stone against stone. The child sits nearby. His container stands proudly beside the larger jars. Not much water, but enough to matter. He watches the grain. After a while he asks if he can help. The woman gives him a smaller task. People learn through closeness. Watching. Trying. Repeating. No ceremony. Outside, village life stretches forward. Morning becomes midday. Sunlight hardens. The softness disappears. Heat arrives. Walls reflect warmth. People move differently. Slower. Shorter paths. More shade. Animals seek shelter. Work continues anyway. Near one house, a scribe sits recording grain amounts. His work seems lighter. But heat reaches everyone. He wipes his face. Adjusts posture. Continues writing. Nearby, builders carry mud. Workers shape bricks. Hands stay busy. A merchant arranges goods beneath cloth shade. Everyone has routines. Everyone gets tired. The woman prepares food. Water disappears little by little. Not carelessly. Simply through living. Wash hands. Mix dough. Drink. Clean. The jars grow lighter. No one worries. Tomorrow exists. The road exists. The river exists. At midday the family eats. Bread. Vegetables. Water. The child drinks proudly from water he helped carry. No one comments. But everyone notices. After eating, the hottest part of the day arrives. Work slows. People rest. Even short rest matters. Inside the house shadows become cooler. The woman leans against the wall. Her eyes close. Not sleeping exactly. Resting. Listening. Outside, the village sounds become softer. Less movement. More stillness. A distant goat. Someone speaking. Someone coughing. Farther away wind. For a moment everything feels suspended. Ancient days often had these quiet centers. Not silence, but a slowing. The child lies nearby. Half awake. He watches sunlight move across the jars. He thinks about the river. About carrying. About roads. His world feels large. 2 villages. Fields. The path. The water. Enough. Eventually the quiet passes. People rise again. Afternoon returns. Tasks continue. The woman stands. Checks the jars. Enough. She smiles slightly. No trip needed today. That knowledge feels restful. Outside, shadows begin growing longer. And somewhere beyond the fields other people are already beginning their walk between the 2 villages, their empty jars swinging gently, their footsteps joining all the footsteps that came before. As the afternoon slowly unfolds, the road between the 2 villages continues receiving footsteps. Not many. Never endless. But enough to keep the path alive. Someone always seems to be walking. Someone carrying something. Someone returning. Someone beginning again. The air feels warmer now than it did in the morning, Yet the hardest heat has already passed. Sunlight becomes softer at the edges. Shadows slowly return to the ground. Across the fields, workers move differently. Morning labor has a forward feeling. Afternoon labor feels quieter. People conserve movement. Tasks become deliberate. Tools lift and lower with less hurry. Near one irrigation channel, a farmer stands ankle deep in damp earth. He opens a narrow gate and watches water spread. He waits. Not because there is nothing else to do. Because water cannot be rushed. The stream moves where it moves. He rests his hands on his hips and watches. Nearby, another worker sits briefly beneath woven shade. His meal is finished. Only a cup remains. He drinks slowly. Everything seems slower after midday. Even thoughts. Back in the village, the woman finishes cleaning. She pours only enough water to rinse bowls. Then she carries them outside. Her children wander nearby. One follows sunlight. One follows questions. The child who carried water in the morning sits beside the jars again. His fingers trace patterns in the dust. After some time he asks if carrying water becomes easier. The woman thinks. Then answers carefully. The jars do not become lighter. People simply learn them. The child considers this for a long moment. Then nods. Satisfied. Children often accept answers adults spend years understanding. The day continues. Some households remain busy. Others move into slower tasks. Repairing baskets. Sorting grain. Mending cloth. Sweeping. Quiet work. Work that fills time gently. Across the village, an older couple sits near their doorway. Their days look different now. They no longer walk to the river often. Younger relatives carry most of the water. But old habits remain. The woman checks jars anyway. The man steps outside to feel the air. They talk softly. Mostly observations. Clouds. Heat. Someone's roof. Someone's harvest. After many years together, conversation becomes lighter. Words do less work. A young woman passes carrying folded linen. The older woman watches and remembers. Not one specific memory. Just the feeling of younger years. Long walks. Strong shoulders. Days that felt endless. She smiles quietly. Then returns inside. Elsewhere, another group begins the road toward the second village. Not for water. For exchange. Bread. Fish. Small goods. But they still carry empty containers. No journey feels complete without bringing something back. The road serves many purposes. Water simply gives it rhythm. The resting trees stand in their usual place. Their shade shifts with the afternoon. Beneath them sits no one today. Only wind. A few footprints. One forgotten piece of reed. The place feels strangely complete even when empty. Travelers stop. Drink. Move on. Some places become important without buildings. Without names. Only repetition. The woman finishes her work earlier than usual. Enough water changes a day. It creates space. Not leisure exactly. But breathing room. She sits outside. The child sits beside her. They watch people. Someone carries reeds. Someone carries vegetables. Someone carries nothing. The child asks if people ever stop carrying things. The woman almost laughs. Not because the question is funny. Because she does not know. She says maybe sleeping counts. The child smiles. Then asks if dreams are heavy. She says she hopes not. The child thinks dreams are probably lighter than jars. This seems reasonable. The afternoon drifts. Heat leaves slowly. Wind returns. People become more active again. A fisherman arrives carrying nets. Children gather around. Not because something exciting happened. Only because someone returned. He sits. Repairs knots. Talks quietly. Fish were enough today. Not many. Enough. Enough is an important word. Enough water. Enough food. Enough shade. Enough rest. Enough becomes comfort. As evening approaches, ovens begin warming. Cooking starts again. Smoke rises. Light changes. Walls become golden. The woman prepares bread. Water pours. Hands move. The child helps. Small amounts. Small responsibilities. The house feels calm. No one speaks much. Not from sadness. From familiarity. Outside, people sit near doorways. Evening conversations begin. Someone mentions tomorrow. Someone mentions weather. Someone remembers a season when carrying water took twice as long. People listen. Old stories rarely sound dramatic. Mostly they sound warm. A man says there was once a year when roads became crowded before sunrise. Everyone needed water early. People woke in darkness. Returned in heat. Another says people complained then too. Everyone smiles quietly. Complaining also belongs to history. The child listens carefully. Trying to imagine longer roads. More jars. More footsteps. The idea feels enormous. Dinner arrives. Bread. Simple vegetables. Water. Hands washed afterward. The woman notices the jars again. Still enough. Tomorrow will not begin urgently. That thought feels restful. Outside, evening deepens. Children become slower. Animals settle. The sky begins changing. One by one stars return. People prepare for sleep. Mats rolled out. Blankets adjusted. Doors closed or left partly open. The child lies down. Before sleeping, he asks one final question. If water keeps moving forever, does the river remember everyone? The woman looks toward the doorway. Night air moves softly. She thinks for a moment. Then says maybe remembering is what rivers do. The child seems content with this. His eyes close. Sleep arrives quickly. Outside, darkness spreads again. The road between the villages empties. Dust settles. The trees stand quietly. The river moves through the night. And somewhere along its dark surface tomorrow is already coming, slowly, patiently, bringing another morning of jars and footsteps. Night continues gently. The village grows quieter with each passing hour. The sounds that remain become easier to notice. A sandal moved near a doorway. A bowl placed softly against a wall. The dry whisper of wind crossing packed earth. Somewhere nearby, an animal shifts in sleep. Then stillness again. Inside the house, the family rests. The jars stand where they always stand. Even in darkness they seem present. Not because anyone looks at them. Because people know where they are. Homes become maps of memory. A person can wake before sunrise and reach for water without seeing. Hands remember. Feet remember. Years of ordinary days slowly teach the body. The child sleeps deeply at first, then lightly. Children often drift between sleep and dreams more easily than adults. At some quiet moment before dawn, he wakes. Only halfway. He hears something. Water. Not flowing loudly. Just the small sound of someone pouring from a jar. His mother is awake. She drinks. Then sits for a moment near the doorway. The child watches quietly. She does not know. Outside, stars still fill the sky. The village is dark. She simply sits. People sometimes wake early and stay awake. Not worried. Not thinking deeply. Just existing in the cool hour before work begins. She listens. Far away there may be someone already walking. Someone always wakes earlier. Someone always begins before others. Eventually she lies down again. The child closes his eyes. Sleep returns. Time passes. Then the world begins changing. Not suddenly. Slowly. Birds. A cooler feeling in the air. The sky becoming less dark. Another morning. Another beginning. The woman wakes again. This time fully. She rises. Touches the jars. Checks weight. Enough. No trip yet. That changes the morning. Days without carrying water begin differently. No rush. No immediate journey. Still work. Always work. But different work. She lights the cooking fire. Very small at first. Smoke curls upward. She prepares grain. Outside, more homes begin waking. Some households do need water. People appear carrying empty jars. The road begins calling again. The child wakes and notices immediately. No jars by the door. He asks, "Not today?" She says, "Not today." The child smiles. Days feel different when the road does not need you. They eat quietly. Bread. Water. Morning air. The village slowly becomes active. The woman begins washing cloth. Water poured carefully into a shallow basin. Hands moving. Rinse. Press. Fold. Nearby, another woman leaves carrying jars. They exchange a few words. Bring enough. Walk slowly. Return before heat. Simple things. No speeches. Only practical kindness. The child watches the travelers leave. Dust rises softly behind them. He imagines the road. The trees. The river. He wants to go again. Not because carrying was easy. Because journeys make ordinary places feel larger. He asks if he can come next time. His mother says maybe. Children understand maybe. It means not now. But possible. Morning continues. Without the water trip, time feels different. The woman notices tasks she often delays. A loose reed mat. Storage jars needing cleaning. A cracked basket. She works steadily. The child helps. Sometimes. Then becomes distracted. Then helps again. Nearby, neighbors move through their own routines. One family repairs roof edges. Another prepares fish. Someone grinds grain. Someone rests. A village never completely matches itself. Every house follows a slightly different rhythm. As sunlight grows stronger, people who went for water begin returning. Groups appear. Full jars. Measured steps. Familiar movement. The child watches closely. Everyone seems slower returning, but calmer. A woman lowers her jars outside her home and stretches her shoulders. A man drinks immediately. Someone laughs softly after spilling only a few drops. No one seems unhappy. Only warm. The child notices something. Everyone returning looks tired, but satisfied. He asks why. His mother thinks. Then says coming home with what people need feels good. The child accepts this. He stores the answer quietly. By midday, heat settles again. Shade becomes important. The village softens. Movement slows. The woman finishes enough work to sit briefly. She pours water into cups. The family drinks. The jars become slightly lighter. She notices. Not worried. Just noticing. Water teaches attention. Nearby, a worker from the fields arrives early. Too hot. He sits against a wall. His clothes dusty. Someone hands him water. He drinks with eyes closed. For a moment nobody speaks. That quiet feels respectful. The child watches. Water looks different after hard work. Not special, but meaningful. The afternoon becomes still. The hottest hour. Even the road seems sleepy. Few people travel now. The trees cast shorter shadows. Birds rest. Wind becomes quiet. Inside the house, the child lies down. Not sleeping. Thinking. Eventually he asks who carried water before us? His mother keeps working. She answers slowly. Parents. Grandparents. Their parents. People before names. People nobody remembers. The child asks, did they get tired too? She smiles. Yes. Probably. The child thinks about this. So many mornings. So many jars. So many roads. The idea feels endless. His eyes drift closed. Heat and quiet pull him toward sleep. Outside, the village waits through the warm middle of the day. Inside the house, shadows move. Water remains cool inside clay. Time moves slowly. And beyond the fields, beyond the resting trees, beyond the familiar road, the river continues its calm journey, carrying its own quiet memory, while people prepare themselves, little by little, for another evening, and eventually, another morning. The afternoon passes slowly. Heat settles over the village like a blanket that no one asked for but everyone understands. The air feels thicker. Sunlight rests on roofs and walls and stays there. Dust does not rise much now. Even footsteps seem quieter. Inside the house, the child sleeps for a short while. The woman does not. Adults often rest differently. Eyes closed. Hands still. Mind half awake. Listening. Waiting. Eventually she opens her eyes and looks toward the doorway. The sunlight has shifted. The hottest hour is beginning to loosen. Not cool yet, but changing. She stands. Her joints feel the day. Nothing painful. Only ordinary tiredness. The kind that arrives from repeating many small tasks. She pours a little water into her hands. Washes her face. The cool feeling lasts only a moment. Still, moments matter. Outside, life slowly returns. People appear again. Someone carries woven mats outside. Someone checks animals. Someone shakes dust from cloth. Children begin moving. The village stretches and wakes from the heat. The child wakes too. He sits quietly for a moment. His hair still flattened from sleep. His eyes adjusting. Then he notices the light. Evening is beginning. He stands and steps outside. The lane feels different now. Long shadows. Golden walls. The smell of bread starting again. A breeze moving through narrow spaces. Children gather in small groups. No one seems in a hurry. The child walks a little farther than usual. Not far. Only enough to see the road leading outward. He stands there and watches. People are coming back. Not from the river. From fields. From workshops. From small errands between villages. Everyone carries signs of the day. Dust. Slow walking. Warm faces. A woman returns with reeds. A man returns with fish. Two brothers return carrying tools together. No one looks excited. No one looks unhappy. Just finished. The child watches a man carrying two empty jars. Not full. Empty. The man is heading toward the second village. Even now. The child wonders why. He asks. The man smiles and says tomorrow feels easier when evening does some of the work. Then he continues walking. The child thinks about this. He likes the idea. Doing something now so later becomes softer. He returns home. The woman is preparing dough. Hands pressing. Turning. Waiting. Water sits nearby. She asks where he went. He says nowhere. Which means only nearby. She nods. Nearby counts. He sits and watches. Work done slowly can feel peaceful. The dough changes shape. Flour becomes something else. The child asks if making bread is boring. The woman thinks. Then says only if you forget someone will eat it. The child watches more carefully after that. Outside, evening deepens. The road remains active. Not busy. Just alive. A pair of sisters walk carrying small baskets. An older man walks with no load at all. Perhaps visiting. Perhaps simply walking. A boy drives goats slowly. Dust glows in low sunlight. At the resting trees, a few travelers pause. The shade stretches farther now. One traveler removes sandals briefly. Another drinks. Nobody stays long. People begin wanting home. The old rope repairer arrives late. Not carrying work. Only himself. He sits. Looks at the road. Looks at the fields. Looks toward the river he cannot see from here. Sometimes places become habits. He rests his hands on his knees. Evening light touches his face. He remembers carrying. Not one day. Many days. Too many to separate. Morning after morning. Walking. Returning. Walking again. He remembers thinking once that life would eventually become different. Then discovering that life mostly changes quietly. Without announcements. One day your jar becomes smaller. One day your walk becomes shorter. One day you sit under trees instead of passing beneath them. He smiles gently. Not sad. Only noticing. Back in the village, cooking begins fully. Smoke rises. The smell of warm bread spreads. People gather. Voices become softer. Meals bring people inward. The woman bakes. The child helps carry bowls. Water pours again. Not much. Enough. Enough remains a comfortable word. Dinner is simple. Bread, vegetables, water. Everyone eats. Nobody talks much at first. People often speak more after eating. Food softens the edges of the day. Eventually conversation returns. Someone nearby mentions a relative visiting next week. Someone else mentions repairing a roof. Someone says the river looked calm this morning. The child listens. Adults talk differently than children. Their stories are smaller, but somehow larger too. After eating, the woman steps outside briefly. The child follows. The sky changes. Blue becoming darker. Stars preparing. People remain near doorways. Children quieter now. A cool feeling slowly arrives. She looks toward the road. No one traveling now. The day's crossings are nearly done. Tomorrow the road will begin again. But tonight it rests. The child asks, does the road sleep too? She looks at the quiet path. Then says, maybe roads sleep by remembering footsteps. The child likes that answer. He imagines the road dreaming. Dreaming of jars. Sandals. Dust. Morning. He becomes sleepy. Night grows. People prepare places to sleep. Water jars checked. Doors adjusted. Blankets moved. The woman touches the jars once more. Still enough. Tomorrow does not require an early journey. That feels like a small gift. Inside, mats are laid out. The child lies down. His eyes stay open a little longer. He listens. Outside, distant voices. A breeze. Someone closing a door. Inside, breathing. Stillness. The quiet presence of stored water. And beyond all of it, far away and moving through darkness, the river continues its patient journey, flowing under stars, while both villages settle into another calm ancient night, and wait softly for morning to return. Morning begins long before anyone calls it morning. The stars still remain. The village still looks asleep. But small signs appear. Air changes. Darkness becomes softer. Somewhere a bird decides the night has lasted long enough. Inside the house, everyone continues sleeping. The jars stand quietly in their places. Still enough. No early journey today. That knowledge changes the feeling of waking. There is no hurry waiting beside the doorway. No empty clay asking to be carried. Only ordinary work. Gentler work. The woman wakes before the others. She sits for a moment. Not because she is tired. Not because she is thinking deeply. Simply because waking slowly feels good when possible. She listens. No footsteps outside yet. No fire. No voices. Only the quiet hour that belongs to almost nobody. She drinks a little water. The clay has kept it cooler than the air. The feeling stays briefly. Then fades. She places the cup down. Outside, the sky begins changing. Not enough to see clearly. Only enough to know night is leaving. Eventually she steps outside. The village appears soft. Walls blue-gray. Paths empty. Palm leaves still. She stands in the doorway and breathes. These moments exist between worlds. Not night. Not day. No demands yet. No completed work. Only possibility. A few houses show movement. Someone else is awake. Another door opens. Smoke begins rising somewhere. People recognize each other without speaking. Morning workers understand this hour. No explanation needed. The woman returns inside. She lights a small fire. Grain. Water. Simple preparation. The child wakes later. Immediately he looks toward the jars. Still there. Still enough. He smiles quietly. Days without carrying feel spacious. Breakfast arrives slowly. Bread. Water. Morning. Outside, more people begin moving. Today fewer jars appear. Many households carried enough yesterday. The road remains quieter. But never empty. Some journeys continue. A woman with 2 containers leaves. An older boy walks beside her. Another household sends someone late. Routine shifts but never disappears. After eating, the woman decides to clean the storage space. She moves baskets. Checks grain. Brushes dust away. The child helps. Mostly. Then wanders. Then returns. Children work like weather. Present. Gone. Present again. Eventually he steps outside. The village feels calm. People are not rushing. Some repair. Some cook. Some sit. One man sharpens tools. Another mends a sandal. A woman braids fiber. Work exists everywhere. Quiet work. The child walks toward the edge of the village. Not leaving. Just watching. The road stretches away. Empty for the moment. Dust resting. He tries imagining all the footsteps hidden there. Yesterday. Last month. Years. How many people crossed? How many jars? How many conversations? The thought feels too large. He gives up counting. Nearby sits the older couple again. The man notices him looking at the road. He asks what he sees. The child says people who already walked. The old man smiles. That seems like a good answer. The child sits. After a while he asks, did the road look the same when you were small? The old man thinks. Then answers mostly. Maybe fewer footprints. Maybe more. Hard to say. The child asks, did people carry water then too? The old man nods. Everyone carried something. The child likes this answer. It seems true. They sit together quietly. No hurry. Eventually the old man says, roads remember more than people do. The child stores that thought too. Morning stretches. Sunlight climbs. The village becomes brighter. People continue. Someone laughs. Someone sweeps. Someone calls for a child. Somebody somewhere drops something and sighs. Ordinary sounds. The woman finishes cleaning and checks the jars again. Still enough. But tomorrow may be another trip. She does not decide yet. Ancient planning often stayed close. Today mattered more than next week. Heat begins building. People notice. Shade becomes attractive. The child returns. He asks if they can visit the river without carrying water. The woman smiles. Maybe. One day. Not today. The child accepts this. The river feels special when connected to journeys. By midday the village slows. Sunlight presses downward. Work becomes smaller. People move indoors. Meals begin. The woman prepares food. Water pours. Hands wash. The jars become lighter again. She notices. Not worried. Only noticing. Everyone eats. Afterward comes the quiet part of the day. The child lies near the doorway. watching dust move in light. He asks when jars are empty, are they lonely? The woman looks at him. She says empty jars are patient. The child thinks that sounds better. Outside, the road becomes sleepy. Very few travelers. Heat keeps people close. The resting trees hold their shade quietly. The old rope repairer arrives there again. No basket today. Only himself. He sits. Looks down the road. Closes his eyes. Listens. Even with no travelers, the place feels occupied. Wind. Leaves. Memory. He rests. Back in the village, afternoon waits. The child begins drawing lines in dust again. Roads. Jars. A river. 2 villages. His world. Simple enough to fit in dirt. Large enough to fill his thoughts. The woman watches. Then returns to work. And little by little, as sunlight slowly begins its long movement toward evening, everyone continues, quietly, patiently, through another ordinary ancient day. The afternoon slowly opens again. The brightest heat begins to ease, though warmth still lingers in walls and ground. The village moves carefully back into motion. Doors open wider. People step outside. Someone shakes dust from a mat. Someone carries bowls to wash. Someone sits in shade and simply watches the day continue. Inside the house, the child's drawings remain in the dust. 2 villages. 1 road. A long line for the river. Several jars. The shapes are simple. But simple shapes often carry complete worlds. The child studies them for a while. Then he adds tiny footprints. Many footprints. Too many to count. He feels satisfied. The woman notices but says nothing. Children often explain their thinking without words. She continues folding cloth. Water rests nearby. Not untouched. But enough. Enough changes how people feel. It creates quiet inside the day. Outside, the village becomes more active. A young builder walks past carrying tools over one shoulder. His work finished earlier today. His pace is slower than morning. Dust covers his legs. A neighbor asks how work went. He answers the walls stayed standing. That seems good enough. Nearby, another worker repairs a basket. His fingers move carefully through broken reeds. He pauses often. Not because the task is difficult. Because afternoon encourages slowness. The child steps outside again. The road calls softly. Not because he plans to travel. Only because roads always seem to suggest movement. At the edge of the village he finds 2 other children. They are drawing paths with sticks. Not games exactly. More like imagining. One draws fields. One draws houses. The child adds the river. Soon all 3 argue quietly about where the river should go. Nobody agrees. Nobody minds. Eventually they erase parts with their feet and begin again. Children rebuild worlds easily. An older sister passing nearby smiles and keeps walking. She carries a small basket and one nearly empty jar. She is heading to visit relatives. Not to collect water. Still she carries a jar. People often do. You never know when water will be needed. The children watch her leave. Then return to their drawings. As sunlight lowers a little more, the woman decides to visit a neighbor. Not for work. Not for urgency. Only because evenings sometimes leave room for sitting together. She takes the child. The walk is short. Their neighbor sits in the courtyard sorting lentils. Nearby stand several water jars. Different shapes. Different ages. One repaired long ago. One newer. People greet each other. Sit. Talk. Conversations move slowly. No one rushes stories. They speak about ordinary things. Someone's daughter is getting taller. A roof leaked months ago. The heat arrived earlier this season. Someone remembers carrying water as a child and spilling half of it before reaching home. Everyone smiles. No one judges. Spilled water belongs to growing up. The child listens. Adults remember small moments more than important ones. No one tells stories about perfect days. Mostly they remember effort. The neighbor says she once thought adulthood meant never carrying jars again. Everyone laughs softly. Not because it is funny. Because everyone understands. The woman asks if their water is enough. The neighbor glances at the jars. Probably one more day. Maybe two. They nod. No further discussion. This is normal conversation. Across the village, people check water often. Quietly. Without drama. The child notices something. Adults always seem calmer when jars are full. He does not say it. He only notices. After some time they walk home. The evening light stretches longer now. The road outside the village glows softly. A few people return carrying full jars. Their pace looks almost peaceful. Slow. Balanced. Measured. One traveler passes and nods. Dust settles behind him. The child watches carefully. Carrying still seems difficult. But now he notices something else. People carrying water do not look rushed. They look certain. Like each step already belongs to them. Back home, the woman begins preparing dinner. Water. Flour. Hands. Familiar movements. The child sits nearby. Today he asks no questions. Sometimes quiet arrives naturally. He watches instead. Outside, evening gathers. The resting trees far along the road hold long shadows. The old rope repairer sits there again. Today a traveler stops and asks why he comes every day. The old man thinks. Then says, I like seeing where people are going. The traveler asks, and where are they going? The old man looks at the road. Then answers, home, usually. The traveler smiles and continues walking. The old man remains. Watching. The evening breeze finally arrives. Not cold. Only softer. The village changes with it. People breathe easier. Children become quieter. Cooking smoke rises. The smell of warm bread fills the air again. Inside the house, dinner is shared. Bread. Simple vegetables. Water. The child drinks and thinks about the old man's answer. Home. People walk away. Then return. Again and again. Maybe that is what most roads are for. After eating, they sit outside. The sky darkens slowly. Someone nearby hums while cleaning. Someone talks quietly. Someone laughs once. The child leans against the wall. He looks upward. Stars appear one by one. He asks, does the river look at the stars too? The woman smiles. She says, every night. The child imagines dark water carrying pieces of sky. He becomes sleepy. The evening cools. The jars wait. Tomorrow may be another carrying day. Or not. No one knows yet. No one worries. Night arrives. People prepare to sleep. The road grows empty. Dust settles into silence. And somewhere beyond the fields the river continues flowing in darkness, patiently carrying moonlight, while both villages rest, holding enough water, enough bread, and enough quiet for one more peaceful ancient night. The night deepens slowly. Stars spread quietly above the villages and the river beyond them. Their light is soft and distant. No one counts them. No one names most of them. They simply remain there, steady and familiar. Inside the houses, people sleep. Some deeply. Some lightly. Some turn once and settle again. The village feels smaller at night. Without movement and work, everything seems closer together. The walls. The roofs. The jars. The sleeping mats. The woman wakes once in the middle of the night. Not fully. Only enough to notice the coolness. She drinks a little water. The jar makes its quiet clay sound. She stands for a moment near the doorway. Outside, darkness covers the road. Nothing moves. Or at least nothing that can be seen. She thinks briefly about tomorrow. Not planning. Not deciding. Only noticing. The jars are lighter now. Not empty. But changing. She returns to sleep. Hours pass. Night becomes thinner. Morning prepares itself again. This time, before opening her eyes, she already knows. Today. Today will be another carrying day. Not because of worry. Only because waiting too long turns ordinary work into urgent work. Better to go while the morning is cool. Better to carry calmly. She rises. Checks the jars. Yes. Today. The room remains dark. She begins preparing quietly. Outside, she hears another door open. Someone else had the same thought. Then another. Morning decisions often happen together. No one announces them. People simply know. She lifts the empty jars. One larger. One smaller. The child wakes and notices immediately. He sits up. His eyes move toward the doorway. Today. She nods. The child smiles sleepily. He wants to go. Not because carrying is easy. Because the road feels important now. The woman studies him. Then says yes. Not a full load. Only a small container again. The child sits straighter. He gets ready carefully. Breakfast comes first. Bread. Water. Morning air. Outside, the village slowly opens. Today more people seem awake. Perhaps many households reached the same moment. Water lower. Time to walk. Groups begin forming naturally. Not organized. Just movement. People stepping into the road. The child carries his small container. Empty. Light. Still important. They begin walking. The air feels cool. Dust rests quietly. Morning has not fully arrived yet. The road looks softer in early light. The child notices things differently now. The uneven places. The marks in the earth. The quiet. Last time he noticed distance. Now he notices rhythm. Footsteps. Breathing. The sound of jars touching cloth. Ahead, people walk in pairs. Others alone. No one moves quickly. Water journeys begin slowly. The woman adjusts her pace to match the child. Not obviously. Only slightly. Children walk farther than they realize when adults do this. The sky changes. Blue appears. Then silver. Birds begin. Fields emerge. Shapes becoming details. Workers appear in the distance. Some already moving. Others arriving. Morning spreads. The child walks quietly. Then asks, how do people know how much water to bring? The woman thinks. Then says, after enough days, you begin to feel it. The child accepts this. Feeling seems mysterious. Adults often know things that way. They continue. The resting trees appear ahead. Already occupied. Not by the old rope repairer. Today a woman sits there with 2 jars beside her. One broken. The upper edge cracked. She studies it quietly. Not upset. Only thinking. Travelers pause. Someone asks what happened. She shrugs. Set it down badly. The jar lasted many years. People nod. No one speaks dramatically. Things break. That too belongs to ordinary life. Someone offers to help carry. She thanks them. They divide the weight. The child watches. He notices nobody acts surprised. People help and continue. The road moves forward. Eventually they reach the second village. Morning has fully arrived. Smoke rises. Bread smells warm. Doors open. People move. The river waits. Always there. The child walks closer this time. The river looks larger in morning light. Not endless. But enough to feel important. People kneel. Fill jars. Lift. Repeat. The woman fills the larger jar. Then the smaller. Then kneels beside the child. She shows him again. Lower slowly. Wait. Lift carefully. His small container fills. He lifts it. Heavy. He adjusts. Better. He smiles. Nearby, fishermen prepare boats. Someone laughs softly. Someone washes vegetables. Someone stands silently looking across the water. Morning work. The child looks at the river. Then asks, does the river get emptied? The woman pours water carefully into the jar. Then says, not by people. The child thinks this over. That feels comforting somehow. Eventually the jars are ready. Weight returns. The journey home begins. The child walks carefully. More carefully than before. His container is fuller today. He wants to succeed. The woman says nothing. Only walks nearby. The road stretches ahead. Sunlight grows warmer. Dust rises. People settle into the old rhythm. Step. Balance. Step. Breathe. Step. The child feels the weight. At first he thinks about putting it down. Then he remembers the people. Everyone carries something. He keeps walking. At the resting trees, they stop. The broken jar woman continues carefully. Others sit. Drink. Stretch. The child lowers his container. Looks proud. The woman pours him a small drink. They sit together quietly. Wind moves through leaves. Someone speaks softly. Someone closes their eyes. The child looks down the road toward home. Not close. Not far. Just there. Waiting. And after a while the jars rise again, the footsteps begin again, and the calm ancient morning carries them gently onward. The road stretches ahead beneath the growing morning. The resting trees slowly disappear behind the travelers. Their shade remains in memory for a little while, the way cool water remains in the mouth for a few moments after drinking. The child lifts his small container again. It feels heavier now. Not because the water changed. Because carrying becomes more noticeable after resting. He takes careful steps. His arm grows warm. His fingers adjust. The woman watches without saying much. She remembers. Everyone remembers learning weight. Not through lessons. Through walking. The road continues. People spread out naturally. Some walk ahead. Some remain behind. Nobody competes. No one tries to arrive first. Water does not reward speed. It rewards steadiness. The child notices something. People carrying larger jars seem calm. Not effortless. But calm. They shift weight before discomfort becomes strain. They walk at a pace they can keep. Nobody fights the road. He tries copying. Smaller steps. Slower. His container feels better. The woman notices and says nothing. Some discoveries feel larger when found alone. The fields beside the path are awake now. Farmers move among rows. Someone calls across an irrigation channel. Someone kneels to clear mud. Birds lift suddenly and settle again. A donkey stands in shade already. The day is beginning. As they walk, they pass a man carrying reeds. His load looks awkward. He smiles at the child. The child looks at the reeds. Then at his own container. The man says different things, same shoulders. Then continues. The child thinks about that. Maybe everyone really does carry something. The village appears slowly. Walls. Smoke. Doorways. People. Home. The child feels a little more energy seeing it. The woman does not hurry. Almost there is still carrying. Almost home is not home. They enter the village. People separate again. Returning. Turning. Disappearing into familiar places. The child walks into the house carefully. He lowers his container. No spilling. Only a few drops around the edge. He looks pleased. The woman pours water from the larger jars into storage. The cool sound fills the room softly. Water entering waiting containers. A sound both ordinary and comforting. The child watches. The jars look different now. Prepared. Ready. The room feels settled. The woman touches one jar lightly. Enough. She smiles almost invisibly. Enough for today. Enough for tomorrow morning. The child notices. He asks, how can you tell? She thinks. Then answers, the room feels different. The child looks around. He does not fully understand. But maybe he understands a little. The house does feel calmer. Morning work continues. The woman begins grinding grain. The child sits nearby. Today he stays longer. His carrying has made him quieter. Not tired exactly. Thoughtful. He watches stone moving against stone. Outside, village sounds grow. Someone repairing a roof. Someone calling to animals. Someone singing very softly while working. The day moves forward. After a while the child goes outside. His friends are there. They ask if he went. He nods. They ask if he carried. He lifts his arm proudly. Not dramatically. Just enough. One friend says carrying sounds boring. The child thinks. Then answers, not really. There is too much to look at. His friends consider this. Then begin drawing roads again. This time the child draws the resting trees. And a broken jar. And the river. Small details. Things that matter once you notice them. By midday the heat arrives. Not suddenly. Little by little. Sunlight brightens. Air thickens. People move indoors. The woman pours water into cups. Everyone drinks. The child drinks slower today. Carrying changes small things. He notices where water comes from now. The jars become slightly lighter. No one comments. That is what water does. Lunch arrives. Bread. Vegetables. Quiet conversation. Afterward comes rest. The child lies near the jars. He reaches out and touches one. Cool. He closes his eyes. He imagines the river. Not as something far away. But connected. River. Jar. Cup. Bread. People. Road. All joined. His eyes become heavy. Outside, the village becomes quieter. Afternoon heat settles. The woman continues small tasks. She folds cloth. Sweeps. Stops briefly. Drinks water. Continues. Nothing dramatic. Only steady work. Time passes. Eventually the child wakes again. He asks, when I am old, will I still remember carrying today? The woman thinks while folding. Then says, probably not this day. But your shoulders might. The child laughs softly. He likes that answer. Outside, afternoon begins to soften. Long shadows slowly return. People step outside again. Someone passes carrying empty jars. Tomorrow. Always tomorrow. The road continues. The river continues. The villages continue. The child sits near the doorway and watches the evening begin. He feels slightly taller. Not because anything changed. Only because he carried something home. And as warm light settles across the village once more, the jars stand quietly in their places, holding enough water, holding enough calm, while another ordinary ancient evening slowly arrives. Evening settles gently across the village. The heat slowly releases its hold on the walls and pathways. Air moves more freely now. Dust that floated all afternoon begins settling back into the earth. People step outside again. Not because work is finished. Work rarely feels finished. But evening changes the kind of work people do. Tasks become smaller. Slower. Closer to home. Inside the house, the jars stand full enough to create a quiet feeling. No one says this aloud. No one walks in and announces that everything feels easier. But people notice. Shoulders loosen. Thoughts move elsewhere. Enough water means tomorrow does not need to arrive early. The woman begins preparing the evening meal. She pours water into a bowl. Washes grain. Moves carefully. Nothing wasted. The child stays nearby. Today he watches more than usual. Carrying made something feel different. Not bigger. Just clearer. He notices the sound of water. The weight of the bowl. The way his mother checks the jar without really looking. Small habits. Years hidden inside simple movements. Outside, evening activity grows. Someone repairs a stool. Someone washes clothing. Someone sits and does nothing for a little while. That too belongs to evening. Near one doorway, a man stretches his shoulders after field work. His neighbor asks if he carried too much today. The man shrugs. Maybe. Maybe not enough. They both smile softly. No one explains. Work always feels difficult while doing it. Later it becomes ordinary. The child steps outside. The lane glows in low sunlight. Children move slower now. Games become quieter. Nobody wants to run in the warmth. He walks toward the edge of the village again. The road stretches away. Soft. Golden. A few travelers still return. One woman carries 2 jars. Her pace is slow. Steady. The child watches. She notices and smiles. She asks if he carried today. He nods. She asks full container? He raises his hand to show. Small. She nods seriously. Every carrying starts small. Then she continues home. The child watches her go. He wonders how many times she has walked that road. 100? 1000? The number feels impossible. Maybe people stop counting. Maybe counting is not important. He stands quietly. Nearby, the older couple sits outside again. The old man notices him. He asks, "Did you carry well?" The child thinks. Then says, "I arrived." The old man smiles. Good answer. They sit together. The road grows quieter. The child asks, "Did carrying ever become easy?" The old man looks toward the distance. Then says, "Some days yes. Some days no." But the road becomes familiar. The child thinks this sounds true. The old man continues. You stop thinking about reaching the end. You think about the next step. Then suddenly you are home. The child remembers this. One step. Then another. Simple. Back at home, cooking continues. The woman works calmly. She checks the jars once. Still enough. Her shoulders relax. Even if she does not notice. Evening meals carry a different feeling after carrying days. Work already happened. Now the house receives it. The child returns. He helps arrange bowls. Water. Bread. Simple vegetables. Everything feels ordinary. But ordinary can feel warm. They eat slowly. No one rushes. Outside, voices drift between houses. Someone tells a story. Someone remembers a trip years ago. Someone says tomorrow may be hotter. Nobody worries. People simply notice. After eating, bowls are washed. The child pours carefully. Not too much. He notices now. Water leaves jars quietly. Little by little. Never all at once. The woman watches him. Says nothing. He is learning. Not because anyone teaches. Because days repeat. Night begins. People settle. Children become sleepy. Cooking smoke disappears. The sky darkens slowly. Stars appear. One. Then more. The child and the woman sit outside briefly. The road is empty now. The child looks toward it. He imagines all the footsteps hidden in darkness. People who walked today. People who walked before. People who carried jars and forgot the exact days. The child asks if nobody remembers a day, does it still matter? The woman looks at the stars. She answers quietly. People drank. People ate. People rested. That means it mattered. The child thinks about this. He likes the answer. You do not have to remember every day for it to count. The evening grows cooler. Inside, sleeping mats are prepared. Water jars checked. Doors adjusted. The child lies down. His body feels pleasantly tired. Not exhausted. Only used. His eyes close slowly. Before sleeping, he asks one last question. Do jars get happy when they are full? The woman smiles in the darkness. Maybe. Because then they know they helped. The child smiles too. His breathing becomes slower. Outside the road rests. The trees rest. The fields rest. And beyond all of them the river continues moving quietly beneath the stars, carrying darkness. Carrying reflections. Carrying another ancient night gently forward, while both villages drift softly toward sleep. The night moves quietly over the villages. Darkness rests across rooftops and narrow paths. The warm air of the day continues leaving little by little, until the ground no longer gives back heat with every step. Inside the houses, people sleep. Not perfectly. Someone wakes. Someone turns. Someone pulls a blanket closer. Someone drinks a little water. Then sleep returns. The jars stand quietly in corners and near walls. At night they seem larger somehow. Still. Patient. Holding what the day gathered. Inside the house, the child sleeps deeply. His hands rest loosely. His breathing stays slow. Dreams arrive softly. Perhaps not as stories. Maybe only feelings. Walking. Morning air. Cool water. The shape of the road. Nearby, the woman wakes once. Only briefly. She listens. Night sounds. Nothing unusual. She checks the jars out of habit. Not because she needs to. Her hand touches cool clay. Enough. She returns to sleep. Hours pass. Stars move. The moon changes position. Night becomes thinner. Then comes that quiet moment again. The hour before morning belongs to anyone. No one owns it. No one controls it. It simply arrives. The village begins waking. Today more slowly. No urgent carrying. No empty jars waiting. Doors open later. Cooking fires appear one by one. Inside the house, the woman wakes. She sits for a moment. Morning without carrying feels different. Her shoulders know this before her thoughts do. She drinks water. Then begins. The child wakes soon after. He immediately checks the jars. Still enough. He smiles. Not because he dislikes carrying. Only because enough feels peaceful. Breakfast begins. Bread. Water. Simple morning. Outside, people move gradually. Today the road looks quieter. Still active. Always active. But gentler. Some households planned ahead. Others still travel. The child watches through the doorway. People leaving with empty jars. People staying. Different mornings. Same village. The woman begins cleaning storage containers. One by one. Dust removed. Lids checked. Quiet work. The child helps. Then pauses. Then helps again. He seems thoughtful today. Eventually he asks, how do people know when enough becomes not enough? The woman thinks. Then answers before worry arrives. The child repeats this quietly. Before worry arrives? He likes the sound of it. Outside, the village stretches into morning. A man repairs a roof edge. A woman dries cloth. Someone sharpens tools. Someone sits in shade making baskets. The old couple sits outside again. The old man drinks water slowly. The old woman watches the road. People live near roads long enough and eventually they begin noticing movement automatically. Who left? Who returned? Who carried more? Who looked tired? Not from curiosity. From familiarity. The child walks over. He sits quietly. No questions at first. The old man notices. He asks, thinking? The child nods. Then asks, how much water do you think you carried in your whole life? The old man laughs softly. Not loudly. Only surprised. He thinks. Then shakes his head. Too much. The child asks, more than the river? The old man smiles. No. The river always wins. The child nods. That feels correct. They sit together. Watching. A woman returns carrying jars. Her pace steady. Her shoulders relaxed. She has done this many times. The child notices again people carrying water rarely look angry. Tired sometimes. Warm. Quiet. But not angry. He asks why. The old man thinks. Then says because carrying changes nothing except empty becoming full. The child sits with that. Empty becoming full. Simple. The morning continues. Sunlight climbs. The woman finishes cleaning. She checks water again. Enough. No trip tomorrow either if careful. That feels good. Not exciting. Just good. She begins preparing grain for later. Work moves steadily. The child returns. He sits nearby. Today he asks if he can wash bowls. She says yes. He uses little water. Careful. Watching. Thinking. The woman notices. Says nothing. People learn quietly. By midday the heat begins arriving. Not heavy yet. But coming. People adjust. Shade. Shorter walks. Slower work. The family eats. Bread. Water. Simple food. The child drinks and pauses. Then says, I think water tastes different after carrying. The woman smiles. Maybe. Or maybe people notice it more. The child decides both can be true. After eating comes rest. The quiet middle of the day. The child lies near the doorway. Outside sounds soften. Inside shadows grow. His eyes close. Not fully asleep. Thinking. He imagines the road. Today empty. Tomorrow maybe not. He imagines the river still moving. Even now. While everyone rests. That feels nice. Something always moving. Something always continuing. Eventually his eyes close. Outside, the village drifts into warm stillness. The woman folds cloth. Stops. Drinks water. Continues. A breeze appears. Then disappears. Time moves slowly. Beyond the fields the resting trees hold their shade. The road waits. And the river continues its quiet work, flowing past reeds and mud banks, never hurried, never stopping, while the two villages rest in the gentle middle of another ancient day. The quiet middle of the day stays for a while. Heat gathers over the land and smooths everything into slower shapes. The fields seem farther away. Voices become softer. Even animals move less. Inside the house, the child sleeps lightly near the doorway. His arm rests beside one of the water jars. The clay stays cool. Not cold. Only cooler than the room. The woman continues her work. Fold. Stack. Sweep. Pause. Drink. Continue. There is no rush today. Enough water changes the feeling of time. Tasks no longer lean against each other. There is space between them. A person notices sunlight moving. Notices wind. Notices small sounds. Eventually the child wakes. He sits up slowly. For a moment he forgets the time of day. Then he notices the angle of light. Afternoon. The heat has begun its long soft journey downward. He drinks. Carefully. The jar makes its quiet hollow sound again. He likes that sound now. He wonders if he noticed it before carrying water. Maybe not. The woman asks if he rested well. He nods. Then asks, what do people do when there is no work? She thinks. Then says they usually find some. The child laughs softly. That seems true. Outside, the village begins moving again. People step back into lanes and courtyards. Someone hangs cloth. Someone checks cooking fires. Someone walks carrying reeds. Someone sits and simply watches. Afternoon does not ask for fast work. Only steady work. The child walks outside. Today he does not go to the road immediately. Instead he watches the village. He notices things. One neighbor lifts water from a storage jar. Another checks a roof. Someone pours water into a bowl for animals. Water moves quietly through the village. Always moving. Even when no one walks to the river. The child had not noticed this before. Water arrives. Then slowly becomes food. Cleaning. Drinking. Washing. Life. He walks to the old couple's house. They sit in their usual places. The old woman shells beans. The old man watches the lane. The child sits. Nobody speaks at first. Then the child asks what happens if someone forgets to bring water? The old woman answers before the old man. People remember. Neighbors help. Then tomorrow arrives? The child nods. That answer feels calm. He asks, did people help you too? The old woman smiles. Many times. The child likes this. Roads connect villages. Water connects houses. People connect days. They sit quietly. After a while the old man points toward the road. A traveler appears. Not carrying jars. Only walking. Slow. Steady. The child watches. The old man says sometimes people walk just to visit. The child seems surprised. Travel without carrying something feels unusual. The old man smiles. Even then people usually bring news. The traveler arrives. They speak briefly. Someone's cousin recovered from illness. Someone repaired a damaged wall. Small updates. Nothing dramatic. But important enough to carry. The child notices. People carry stories too. Later he returns home. The woman has begun preparing for evening. Grain. Water. Fire. The house smells warm. The child sits nearby and watches. He asks, do you think the river gets lonely at night? The woman pours water into a bowl. Then says it always has the stars. The child thinks that sounds nice. Even rivers have company. Outside, the afternoon changes again. Long shadows begin appearing. The road glows softly. People return. Some with jars. Some without. A group of workers walks together. They speak little. Tired. Comfortable. One person yawns. Another stretches. The day settles into evening. The child goes to the doorway. He notices someone carrying water differently. Not balanced on the head. Held close. Arms wrapped around the jar. Careful. Almost like carrying something precious. He wonders if everyone has their own way. He thinks they probably do. Inside, dinner comes together. The woman checks the jars. Still enough. Tomorrow still feels open. No early carrying. She relaxes slightly. Again without noticing. The child notices. He asks, does enough water help people sleep? She thinks. Then nods. Probably. The child likes this answer. It makes sense. Even rest needs preparation. Dinner arrives. Bread. Vegetables. Water. Simple. After eating they sit outside. The evening air feels softer. Children nearby talk quietly. Someone hums. Someone laughs once. The road becomes quieter. The child watches the empty path. He imagines it cooling down. Like people do. He asks if nobody walked tomorrow, would the road miss them? The woman smiles. Maybe. But roads are patient. The child thinks roads and jars are similar. Patient things. Night slowly arrives. Stars appear. Cooking smoke disappears. People check doors. Prepare mats. Touch jars. Sleep comes closer. The child lies down. Before closing his eyes he says, I think carrying water makes people notice things. The woman thinks for a moment. Then answers, most work does. The child closes his eyes. That feels important. Outside the road rests. The trees stand quietly. The fields cool. And far beyond them all the river keeps moving beneath the dark sky, never hurried, never finished, carrying reflections and silence together through another calm ancient night. Night settles fully again. The villages become shapes beneath the stars. Roof lines soften. Courtyards disappear into shadow. The roads between houses lose their edges until they seem to become part of the earth itself. Inside the homes, the day slowly leaves people. Hands relax. Breathing deepens. Thoughts become slower. Work lets go. The jars remain where they always remain. Quiet. Still. Holding tomorrow gently inside them. The child sleeps. His dreams feel calm tonight. Not strange. Not busy. Only pieces. Walking. The shade of the resting trees. Water shining in morning light. The feeling of carrying something and reaching home. Nearby, the woman sleeps too. Once during the night she wakes. Not fully. Only enough to notice the air feels cooler. She drinks a little water. Then stands in the doorway. The village looks peaceful. No fires. No voices. Only darkness and stars. She listens. Far away or perhaps only imagined, she thinks she hears movement. Someone walking. Night travelers existed too. Fishermen leaving early. People returning late. Someone visiting family. Someone carrying something quietly under the stars. She wonders briefly. Then returns inside. Sleep comes again. Hours pass. Night moves. Morning waits. and eventually without announcement the first signs appear. Birds. Cool air. The feeling that darkness is preparing to leave. The woman wakes. Today she already knows. No carrying. Not today. Enough remains. She checks anyway. Habit. The jars answer quietly. Enough. She smiles faintly. Morning begins differently. She lights the fire. Prepares food. Moves more slowly. The child wakes. Looks immediately. Still enough. He seems happy. Not because he dislikes the road. Only because staying feels peaceful too. Breakfast comes. Bread. Water. Morning. Outside, the village begins waking. Today many people remain home. Several households must have planned ahead. The road beyond the village stays quieter than usual. Only a few early travelers. Morning stretches. The child sits outside. Watching. Without carrying days, mornings feel wider. People stay close. Conversations last longer. Tasks spread out. He watches neighbors. One family repairs baskets. One family washes cloth. Someone grinds grain. Someone simply sits and drinks water. The child notices how often people pause to drink. Small moments. Short. Quiet. The woman begins reorganizing storage jars. Empty ones. Full ones. Different sizes. She wipes dust away. Checks for cracks. Touches rims. These tasks matter. A broken jar changes days. The child joins her. He asks, how do you know if a jar will break? She turns one slowly. Then answers, sometimes you don't. The child thinks about this. That seems unfair. But also normal. People still fill them anyway. Outside, sunlight grows. The village brightens. A neighbor visits. Not for anything important. Only because mornings allow it. She sits. Talk begins. Water. Weather. Someone's son helping more lately. Someone's sandals wearing thin. The child listens. Adults rarely talk about one big thing. Mostly many small things. Like carrying jars. Small things that become life. The neighbor says she remembers carrying water with her sisters when she was young. They used to count steps. Then forget counting. Then remember again. The child asks how many steps. She laughs. Too many. Always too many. Everyone smiles. The conversation drifts. Eventually the neighbor leaves. The woman returns to work. The child walks outside again. Toward the road. He stands there. Quiet. A traveler appears carrying one full jar. Only one. Not two. The child asks why. The traveler says today one is enough. Then continues. The child likes that answer. Today one is enough. He watches until the traveler disappears. The road feels peaceful. Not empty. Just resting. The child sits near the edge of the village. Nearby, a dog sleeps. Wind moves lightly. A few birds cross overhead. He thinks about carrying. About enough. About how water becomes almost invisible once it arrives. People stop noticing. Until jars become lighter. Then they notice again. He wonders if many important things are like that. By midday heat begins arriving. People move into shade. The woman prepares lunch. Water pours. Jars become slightly lighter. Still enough. Everyone eats. Afterward comes quiet. The child lies near the doorway again. He watches sunlight on clay. His eyes grow heavy. Before sleeping he asks, do jars get tired? The woman smiles. Then says maybe they rest when they are empty. The child likes that. He closes his eyes. Outside, afternoon settles. The village becomes still. The road grows quiet. The resting trees cast their patient shade. And beyond all of it the river continues flowing, carrying reflections of clouds and birds, moving gently past fields and villages, while ordinary people rest, holding enough water, enough shade, and enough time for another slow ancient afternoon. And now, after many quiet mornings and many ordinary evenings, the road between the two villages grows still. Not forever. Only for tonight. The day has finished its slow work. The jars have been carried. Water has been poured. Bread has been baked. Hands have been washed. Feet have returned home. Across both villages, doors close softly. Cooking fires become smaller. Warm walls begin releasing the heat they held all day. People settle where they always settle. Near open doorways. On reed mats. Under quiet roofs. Inside the house, the jars stand in their familiar places. Not full. Not empty. Only enough. Enough for morning. Enough to allow sleep. The woman touches one jar gently as she passes. Not counting. Not measuring. Only knowing. Her children are already resting. The child who once carried a small container closes his eyes. His shoulders no longer think about the weight. But somewhere inside him, the road remains. The morning air. The resting trees. The cool sound of water entering clay. One careful step after another. Tomorrow he may remember. Or he may not. Years from now, many days may disappear together. But something will stay. The feeling of bringing something home. Outside, the old couple sleeps. The neighbor sleeps. The workers sleep. The fishermen sleep. The people who carried jars. The people who did not. The people who repaired roofs and baked bread and sat quietly in shade. Their days do not become stories. They become life. The resting trees stand alone now. No travelers beneath them. Only night air moving through leaves. Dust settles softly into old footprints and new footprints together. The road between the villages rests. If roads remember, then perhaps tonight it remembers everything. Morning sandals. Heavy jars. Short conversations. People helping carry broken loads. Children asking questions. People returning home. And beyond the road the river continues. Dark and calm beneath the stars. Water moving as it always has. Not rushing. Not stopping. Flowing past reeds. Past sleeping houses. Past quiet shorelines. Carrying reflections. Carrying moonlight. Carrying another night into the next. No one needs to walk now. No one needs to lift anything. For this moment the jars are waiting. The bread is finished. The air is cooler. The work can rest. The villages become quiet shapes beneath the sky. And slowly, very slowly the sounds grow softer. The river farther away. The wind lighter. The footsteps gone. Until there is only the feeling of warm earth cooling after a long day, and ancient water moving quietly in the dark, while both villages sleep, and history becomes calm, quiet, and sleepy.